Let's talk feminine dialect, why I won't perform it and why maybe you shouldn't either. So lately I've been getting a fair number of comments from older white women calling me rude, abrasive, condescending, saying they don't like the tone I take in my videos, saying I'm not being polite, being told I'm harsh, they don't like my tone of voice. But what's happening is that they're uncomfortable that I am not performing something very, very common and expected of women, especially white women, especially white Christian women, which is performing femme speak or feminine dialect. Now, I've talked about this in a few other videos, but in white Christian culture especially, women are supposed to perform a particular submissive, docile, feminine role. And that is supposed to impact the way we speak. We're supposed to raise our voice. We're supposed to soften it. We are supposed to artificially gentle and soften everything that comes out of our mouth, both the words and the way that we're speaking. Women are not supposed to express anger. We're not supposed to be blunt. We're not supposed to be direct, because that wouldn't be submissive and polite. Now, I've talked a little bit about how this cultural expectation can be a tool of white supremacy, especially against Black women who often don't perform that same kind of passivity that white women are expected to put on display at all times. So while I get flack from other white women for not performing femme speak or feminine dialect, I can only imagine what it's like for women of color. So in feminine dialect, aside from altering your voice to sound very sweet and very submissive, the typical Michelle Duggar voice, we're also expected to temper our words. They cannot be assertive. They cannot be confident. We definitely cannot display strong emotions like anger, indignation, only sweetness and gentleness. And because women are human beings and we naturally feel the full range of emotions, if we can't express them, it tends to come out and ooze out in other ways that are unhealthy. So what happens is that it oozes out in passive-aggressive speech. I mean, passive aggression is kind of the hallmark for women boomers in America. So we've been heavily enculturated to uphold the patriarchy by performing this very gendered kind of speech. So much so that when we see other women refusing to perform it, that we get real upset. So I don't know if it's just my household growing up, but we didn't do passive aggressive, we did aggressive aggressive. And so I didn't really have that kind of way of speaking instilled in me. And also, I think some part of it is just inherently my personality. If you believe in Myers-Briggs, I'm always INTJ. I don't bullshit well. I'm terrible at putting on a performance, and that means that I cannot do femme speak very well at all. And I've always believed in playing to my strengths, so I just don't try. And boy, does it make women in particular upset. The policing in my comments, because I am direct and blunt, is always from women who want to uphold that patriarchal system, which I guess benefits them when they do perform femme dialect. And I totally get why it can make people uncomfortable to not see a woman performing gendered social conventions in public. But I want to make it really clear here, it's not just that I am trying to be my authentic self and not front, it's also a matter of respect for y'all. Being fake nice is not being kind. Putting on an inauthentic performance is not being kind. If I'm speaking to you directly without sugarcoating everything, that's a sign of respect. It's saying, I know you can handle hard conversations. I know that you can handle having direct, honest, open communication without playing passive-aggressive head games. Frankness is not rudeness. Directness is not being impolite. We're just so conditioned that women shouldn't speak that way, and women definitely should not be confident and assertive in their opinions. Maybe you're somebody like me, maybe performing femme speak has always felt very unnatural and inauthentic and disrespectful to the folks you're communicating with. If so, I would encourage you to ease out from underneath it a little bit more and more every time you talk to folks. And if you're somebody who's very deeply enculturated in feminine dialect and femme speak, so much so that you find a woman being frank and honest as something that really upsets you and makes you uncomfortable, I would encourage you to think about why that is. And how upholding the cultural expectation of femme speak is something that hurts you as well as all of the women around you. How it's a tool of the patriarchy, it's a tool of white supremacy, it's a tool of evangelical Christianity. And what's the purpose of that tool? What's it trying to leverage? What's it trying to work on you? So no, I'm not rude, I'm not condescending, but I'm also not going to put on an act for you all. I'm not going to perform and disrespect you in that way. I promise you the content you'll get from me is authentic.